What's up? Welcome to Wonderneath Weekly. I'm Danny Swade. I'm coming to you from Bangkok, Thailand right now, and we're going to go through my weekly update. I got a lot of crazy stuff for you, so buckle up your pants. Let's go straight to it, baby. I changed my mic and my audio setup today, so maybe it's going to be some weirdness, but hopefully it's okay. It should be better. So here we go. We're going to see what I'm wondering about. List of the tallest buildings. What are the tallest buildings? You'd think you'd know. Right, okay, we'll start with this though. What is the Jeddah Tower? Because this is the new tallest building in the world. It's getting built. But look at this. Let's see this picture. Can I zoom this? I can't. How about this one? Okay, I gotta move myself, sorry. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, nope. There we go. Sorry. Anyways, hang on there. Okay, this is the Jeddah Tower. It's taller than the Burj Khalifa. Look at this. Way taller, honestly. And it has this cool platform here. And look how big it is. And where is it? It's in... Or Kingdom Tower. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Man, the freaking Middle East, dude. They just rip it on buildings. Savages. But okay, let's look at these other biggest... My other question is, what are the biggest other buildings? Look at this. Wait, this is different than the other answer. Let me see. List of tallest buildings. So this says Merdeka 118. Let's see what that is. So it's this squiggly guy. These are apparently the biggest ones, but this is weird because this is maybe a bad... Shanghai Tower, Signature Tower, Jakarta. And then this is a new one maybe, if this is a new chart. But anyways, look at this freaking guy. Wow. That's a render, but wow. That's the biggest one. That's the Jeddah Tower. But here's this one on this list I'd never heard of. Mecca Royal Clock. Right? I'd never heard of most of these buildings. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't have, if you made me guess the top 5 tallest buildings, I would have guessed this Burj Khalifa. And then I'm not even going to guess how to say this one in China. I wouldn't have guessed this one in Jakarta. I wouldn't have guessed this one in Shanghai Tower. Wouldn't have guessed that. Wouldn't have guessed Mecca Royal Clock. I didn't even know. Bro, look at this freaking thing. This thing is sick. It's right above the... I forget what that black box is called in Mecca. But like, let's look at this guy, dude. Come on. This is like the Empire State Building, but with a clock on it. On the top. Big old clock. Look at how big that freaking thing is, dude. This is epic. Look at that. Yeah, so who knew, man? Man, there's so many things that you'd think you would know that are obvious. Like, dude, look at the scale of that. It looks like the proportions of it are weird. It just looks so crazy, but man, giant freaking thing. Ooh, here's from up on top of the crescent. Wow. That is freaking amazing. Look at that. Who knew? Not me. And so we're getting a new tallest building, Jeddah Tower. So look into that. Okay, next thing I'm wondering. If I never get sick, is that a sign of a good or bad immune system? Because I've heard this guy talking. He's like, if you never get sick, it means your immune system can't respond good. And if you get sick, that means that your immune system's working good. And then I'm like, this doesn't make that much sense because you get sick in response to like a virus or bacteria or something. So if you didn't get sick in response to a bacteria or a virus, that virus would just kill you, right? So it's like, or like take over you. So how do you not get sick? If you get a virus, right? It's like you would get sick, right? So I'm like, what the hell? Because I haven't gotten sick in forever. And I'm like, is that because I have a bad immune system or I have a good immune system? Sometimes, rarely, falling ill can reflect an immune system that is effective at fending off pathogens and maintaining resilience. However, if a person never experiences illness at all, it could suggest the immune system is not mounting the typical responses like fever or inflammation to infections, which mean problems are going undetected or being suppressed. So I still don't really get it. I think I'm probably having a good immune system, but we'll see when I go back to the States this winter if I get sick. But a lack of symptoms could sometimes be due to immune suppression from chronic stress, certain medications, or underlying conditions, meaning the body's not responding as it should. I just think if the body doesn't give you an inflammatory response or get you sick, because you either fight off the pathogen or you don't, right? So if you don't fight it off and get sick, then you're gonna die or get freaking like fully infected. So I don't get how that just isn't making sense to me. But who knows? Can I have a doctor chime in on that, please? Okay. Why did King Darius have a lion's den? I'm in Daniel in the Bible, which we're gonna freaking get into, baby. It gets crazy. But anyways, King Darius had a lion's den primarily as a means of execution and punishment. So it was really just a freaky execution thing. In line with ancient royal customs for dealing with those convicted of particularly serious crimes or disobedience to royal decrees. So really, they just had a bunch of lions to just feed people, which is just goes to show you the savagery of humans. It's pretty rough. Okay, last one. What are the meaningful differences between Orthodox Christianity and Evangelical Christianity? Worship and liturgy. Orthodox Christianity practices highly structured liturgical worship centered on ancient prayers, rituals, and sacraments. Services are sung focused on the Eucharist and draw deeply from early Christian tradition. Okay, I don't know what the Eucharist or liturgy is, so let's see what that is. Liturgy. Is that the Bible? Let's see what is liturgy and Eucharist. What is that? The Eucharist. I've heard it. Let's see here. Divine liturgy is the central communal act of worship, meaning common work or people's work, where the gathered church often offers praise, prayer, and thanksgiving to God through structured rituals rooted in ancient traditions. Okay, so it's like an ancient church service, it sounds like. So liturgy is ancient church service. Let's see what Eucharist. Defining the liturgy. What? During the liturgy of the faithful, the priest invokes the Holy Spirit to transform the offered bread and wine, symbols of Christ's self-offering on the cross, into his actual body and blood. Oh, the Eucharist is turning the bread and the wine into blood and body. A mystery affirming Christ's real presence without explaining the how. Only baptized and chrismated Orthodox faithful in good standing receive it from the common chalice via a spoon. So it's their communion, but they do a Eucharist which turns it into the actual blood and body of Christ. So this is the main difference, it sounds like. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. You're learning new things all the time. Eucharist, bro. I just feel like it would crumble if they did the Eucharist and they tried to turn it into Christ's body and blood, and then you just do a quick test and see if it's still bread and wine, and it still is, and then it's like, well, does that really work? I don't know. I don't know if that really. You got to kind of suspend disbelief to do the Eucharist, I think. Anyways. Okay, so we'll get to this section later, but the one thing I'll mention is I worked out in the rain today, and usually I'm a complainer about the rain, but dude, I was working out with my kettlebell in the rain, and I feel like I'm in a freaking movie, dude. I'm just like pouring rain on me, and I'm just like ripping it, and it just seems like a movie scene, and like I'm gonna fight my enemies. It's freaking awesome. So I almost would rather work out in the rain if I'm being honest. Okay, new from me, blog post. I missed this. It's about kind of my creative journey, and it's very heartfelt. It's a little bit poetic. It's pretty short, but if you want to check it out, obviously all these links, all these questions, everything in here. If you click the link in the description, you can go to this post. It's free and it has everything if you want to check out any of the stuff I'm looking at here. Okay, what I'm watching. Big problem with AI. So here, this is interesting, dude. This Kirk video talks about AI, and I've been noticing this problem with it. And I never conceptualized it this way, but essentially, think of it like this. Every time you do a ChatGPT or Perplexity query, you get some wrong information because it's just looking on the web. It's just scraping the web, and it gets some wrong information. Now, Imagine you're doing a report, you're writing a paper, you're making a video, you're doing something, and you put some of that wrong information in there. And then that video now becomes what's on the internet that ChatGPT references when you ask it a question. And so it's like a cycle, right? Because it's like people that are creating stuff for the internet are using ChatGPT, which is giving them a percentage of wrong information. And then they're creating that stuff and putting it on the internet, which ChatGPT is using that stuff to now answer questions again. So it's like this cycle of slop and wrongness that's happening, I think, and it's starting to become more prevalent because as the amount of AI generated content that has errors in it is growing and growing, the amount of freaking blog posts and YouTube videos and things, it's just growing like crazy, right? There's so much more all the time, and then ChatGPT is scraping that for answers, and there's wrong information. So it's like this vicious cycle of like BS. So I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen or how we fix that going forward, but this Kurska's got video. It's really interesting because they talk about a video they were researching and using ChatGPT, and then they have a rigorous fact checking process. And when they were fact checking, they found all this wrong stuff that ChatGPT had given them. But then they found another video that had been published recently that was on the same topic as them, but they didn't fact check that video and the wrong information was in that video, but the video did really well. So when ChatGPT goes and scrapes the internet and it sees this video, oh, 100,000 views, 100 million views, or whatever it has, I don't know, million views, this must be a good source, and it takes the information from it that is wrong and then regurgitates it. So you can see how that becomes a big problem. So it's pretty interesting. Not really good, honestly. It's like, oh, we're just getting more bad information. So you can watch that if you want to click the link in the description. Daniel's Prophecies. I'm going to get to this in the what I'm reading section. This is crazy. Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk murder, man. The story's falling apart. There's really a lot of holes, no pun intended, in the freaking official story. There's a lot of weirdness. It's getting weird. I don't know exactly what to think or what's exactly true, but I would say the main thing being the wound in Charlie's neck. Apparently it's confirmed that there was no exit wound, which I haven't seen a single gun expert or ballistics person believe that 30-06 went in his neck and stopped at his spine and didn't go out the other side of his neck or just blow his neck off, basically. So that's the weirdest thing happening. So they're thinking there's either another shooter or another gun or something weird's happening. So that's pretty crazy. Okay, next we got Boney Bear music video. Really funny, good idea for a music video. I'll let you just watch it, but it has some celebs in there, and it's funny and clever and good, and I liked it, so I want to share it. Last thing, digital ID. Last thing I'm watching, bro. This will roast you, bro. Digital ID. I saw this thing of Keir Starmer in the UK, who's like the prime minister or whatever, saying by next year you have to have a digital ID to work. Can't even work without one because they're like immigration and all this. And it's so sinister, dude, because when you get a digital ID, the thing that happens, it's kind of like the Chinese social credit system where it's like once you have a digital ID, that starts being connected to your bank and your work and your freaking car and everything, right? And so once that's all connected, the degree to which the government has control over you is so high. So it's like if you think about it, it's like in China, with the social credit score, it's like, dude, I don't know what he did in this doc I was watching, but it's like he did something wrong the government didn't like, and then he goes to buy a train ticket, but you got to use your ID, which is connected to everything else. So if you use your ID, get the train ticket, it says no, can't get a ticket, right? Because it's connected. So right now, if you like get kicked out of a restaurant or you like get a traffic ticket or whatever, it's not gonna that traffic ticket or whatever you did isn't going to necessarily show up when you go to get a plane ticket or something, right? But once there's a digital ID and everything's centralized around the digital ID and everything's connected, you need your digital ID to get a gym membership. So now your ID is connected to the gym membership, and if something goes bad at the gym or if you don't pay the gym or whatever, now that's going to ding your digital ID. When you try to do something else that you need to use your ID for, it's going to freaking yeet you. And it just gives the government this insane amount of control and power over the citizens, and it freaks me out. And I think I might just never get one. Try to never get one. But the thing is, imagine you have to get it to buy food. You need it to have a bank account. You can't spend money if you're going to whatever. So it gets sketchy. And a lot of people if you want to get really weird with it, you could think of it like the mark of the beast, or something to do with the mark of the beast idea, because it will just give the government total control over everyone. So that's sketchy, and it's got me losing a little sleep. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, this is freaking fun, dude. So I finally finished Ezekiel, and I got to Daniel, and in the Bible, I'm reading the Bible cover to cover, and it's crazy because in Daniel, there's all these stories really bringing me back to my childhood. Like there's all these other stories in there besides the famous like Lion's Den one that are really interesting, and just like I can remember the books and the Bible illustrations I used to read as I'm like reading this Bible, and I'm like, oh, I remember these pictures from these stories and everything, and it's like going nostalgic. But anyways, Daniel has these prophecies in here, and there's multiple ones. He has these visions. He's interpreting dreams for Nebuchadnezzar, and there's all these visions and stuff. Well, it gets really weird because I'm just starting to get in this rabbit hole, but he has these visions. One of them is a giant statue with a head of gold and arms and chest of silver and thighs and waist and torso of bronze and legs of steel and feet of clay and steel. And so just file that real quick. It says, and then there's another one where there's these 4 beasts, and there's like a lion with wings, and then there's a bear with ribs in its mouth, and then there's a leopard with wings and 4 heads, and then there's a crazy beast with like 10 horns and like teeth of iron and like all this. Anyway, so I was watching these breakdowns of like what do these beasts represent, and you can pretty much take it to the bank that the beasts represent these different kingdoms, right? And so, for example, and it corresponds. The reason you can jump to that conclusion is that the beasts correspond with the statue, correspond with another vision that Daniel had, which I haven't read yet, but is mentioned in these videos. And if you want to freaking dive into this, it's this video on my post. So, but anyways, so the first beast is the lion with the wings, which is Babylon, right? And same thing with the statue, the golden head is Babylon. The reason you can say that this first empire or this first beast represents the Babylonian Empire is because there's Babylon was just represented by a lion, but also in the Bible with this, it says the lion had wings, and then it was given the mind of a man, of a human. And one of the prophecies that Daniel, or visions that Daniel translates for Nebuchadnezzar, is this thing where he says he's gonna, actually I think this actually happens in the Bible, but he is going to become like a beast. He's given the mind of a beast, and he's going to eat the grass in the field and have long hair and be a beast, and then he has to humble himself, and he'll be given back the mind of a man and kind of rules again, right? So there's this parallel between this lion that is given the mind of a man and Nebuchadnezzar being a beast and is given back his mind of a man, etc. So there's really solid baseline for being like, okay, these different beasts represent different empires that Daniel's basically prophesying about. The second beast is a bear with 3 ribs in its mouth, eats a lot of flesh, and is raised up on one side. So this represents the empire that came after Babylon, which was the Median Persian Empire. And it's kind of a 2-part empire, but the Persians eventually kind of took over everything and became the main part of the empire, which is why the bear's raised up on one side, because the Persians dominated. And they also conquered the 3 kingdoms around them, which was Egypt, Lydia, and Babylon, right? Which is why he's got the 3 ribs in his mouth, right? So it's like, and that's just some of the reasoning. And then the next one is the Greek Empire, which was Alexander the Great. And the thing about which is a leopard, because the leopards are fast, and Alexander conquered everything so quickly, plus the 4 heads. When Alexander died, he split the kingdom between 4 generals, right? So, and there's another prophecy later in Daniel with a ram that has 2 horns, one's bigger than the other, which is like the Medes and the Persian Empire, because one horn's bigger than the other. And then like, I forget exactly what happens, but he smashes another ram or something, and then 4 horns grow, which is like the next empire, the 4 from the Greek Empire. And then this is when it gets weird though. The next one is the Roman Empire, and which is the empire that came next. But the thing is, the prophecies around the 4th beast, which is like this really freaky, terrible beast with the iron teeth and 10 horns, and like one of the horns grows and displaces 3 of the horns, a small horn, and and it speaks blasphemies, and it has human eyes, and it like speaks blasphemies and all this. And it speaks blasphemies, and it persecutes saints for like 3 years, and then the kingdom of God comes, right? So that's the prophecy. It's like these three beasts precede each other, which are these kingdoms. It gets to the Roman Empire, and there's supposedly, and Daniel asked God to translate these visions to him. So God just straight up tells you a lot of it. But the 10 horns on this final Roman beast is 10 kings, right? And then one king comes to rule them all basically, and displaces 3 kings and rules the remainder of the 7 kings. The thing that's weird, and that also corresponds to the 10 toes on the feet of the statue, right? So all this connects, right? And then the thing that's weird is there was never 10 kings of Rome, and there was never one that displaced 3 and ruled the 7, and obviously God never came and established his kingdom on the earth yet. So you go, because it's like really spot on up until this Roman one. And then you go, okay, now it's fallen off, and this didn't happen. But in the video, if you watch the video, there's this really interesting concept, because there's a beast in Revelation that is similar to this iron beast with the iron teeth and all the way it's described. And it says the beast was, is not, and is to come. And basically meaning that the beast was around, and then it went away, and then it comes back, and then God's kingdom is established. Because while those 10 kings, or I guess 7 kings and the 1 king that displaces 3, while those kings are reigning is when Christ comes back, and God comes back and establishes his kingdom on the earth. And that's also while there's this persecution of the saints for years, for like 3 years, or it says a time and 2 times and a time and a half or something. So it's like, I don't know exactly what that means. They think it means years. But so that's the weird thing. And so the Roman Empire obviously fell. But then I saw in the comments, there's all these theories that the Roman Empire, you hear the Roman Empire never went away. It just turned into the Catholic Church, right? And so I was like, dang, so maybe the Roman Empire kind of collapsed, turns into the Catholic Church, lays low for a while, and is going to come back through the Catholic Church. And if you look, and then I was looking into Catholicism, and it's on the freaking rise, dude. So I'm like, is this freaking gonna happen? Because Catholicism, bro, if you go here, I go on my perplexity here. I said, is Catholicism on the rise? Is there a resurgence in Catholicism? So like, look at this. So I asked it to give me numbers. So from like 500 to 1950, you got from basically 1 million Catholics to 450 million Catholics, right? In that huge time period. What is that? Over almost 2,000 years. Not quite. 1,500 years. You get 400 million Catholics. But then from 1950 to now, you're up to 1.4 billion Catholics. So that rate of change is bananas in that short amount of time. So you can kind of argue that Catholicism is coming back. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but there's also, it's just weird. I don't know how to interpret it. I got to watch a bunch more. I'm just starting to go down the rabbit hole, but it's freaking crazy. And I'm going, what? What is happening with this Bible situation? Anyway, so I'm still just reading through Daniel, but it's really interesting. So that's what it is. On to what I'm listening to. Tattoos on This Town by Jason Aldean. It's been a country week, so I've been listening to some country music. Okay. Next, photo dump. This is my sheet scene in my music video, so this is just a screen cap, but look how cool that looks. I was honestly kind of tripping about it, because I didn't know if it was going to work, because all those sheets are like real, right? Except for the very background ones. So here, we'll look at this up close. I'll give you a big version of it here. So all these sheets draping around, we shot this on a green screen. So we shot me by myself on the green screen. We shot these sheets all flapping around in the wind on a green screen. And then way in the back, this floor and these sheets back here, you can see these are from an AI image. But I generated the AI image based on a picture of these sheets and everything. So that's why it really matches the vibe. But it's a freaking cool scene, and I'm really relieved it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's cool, and the sheets are all flying around, and my outfit's all flying around. It just looks cool, so I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm relieved that turned out pretty good. So, anyways, cool. Moving on, here is some clouds for you. I was trying to get some new food and I got a fruit bowl and they put a boiled egg in it. And I was like, huh. And then I also found there was tomatoes in it and there was these green beans in it. And then there was this weird kind of liquid that was like savory. And there was like this savory egg, fruit, and tomato salad thing. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't love it. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't like insanely nasty, but I didn't love it. So I don't really like that. But anyways, here's a funny meme. Saw a tweet. You don't really wash your hands. They actually watch each other while you just stand there and watch. And if you wash your hands and you think of that, it's really funny. So I don't know. That's pretty funny to me. Anyways, moving on. We got some demos to listen to. So hopefully my new audio setup these will sound okay. I would like to warn you that these are just demos. They sound like shit and I sing like shit and the vocals are bad, but they're cool vibes. So let's go ahead and get into this first one here. This is called Wings. And this, I was trying a new AI STEM production thing. So a lot of this I recorded, a lot of this I used to open ukulele tuning. My brother recommended me to try it. So I did, and I made this chord progression. And then I kind of made a little beat, and then I put the beat in AI, and it made like a cover of it that kind of sounded different. And then I took some stems from that and put some of the stems back in and blended stuff and kind of built it that way. So it's kind of interesting. Here we go.
Yeah, so here's the thing, I don't like my wings.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to fly outside, but I'm playing hide and seek. All I could be, too scared to head towards heaven, but I'm getting inspired to reach. And my back got feathers on it, 29-foot wingspan. Too much anxiety in my brain lying to me, I need a plan. I'm gonna hold my pride, don't let it out. I'm gonna hold my head up high. Take one deep breath at the top and then fall into the sky, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing, I don't like my wings. I'd sure like to fly outside, but I'm playing hide and seek. All I could be, too scared to head towards heaven, but I'm getting inspired to reach. So here's the thing, I don't like my wings. No, I'd sure like to fly outside, but I'm playing hide and seek. With all I could be, I'm too scared to head towards heaven, but I'm getting inspired.
So that's kind of a new style. I don't know what I was expecting with that, but that's Wings. And then this one's called Not What We Want, and it's about technology ruining my life. No, I'm just kidding, but kind of is.
No one ever wanted a robot to write their song. None of us ever asked to trade our free time for a TikTok. All of the second order consequences of our addictions are causing friction, but no one picked it. That's not what we wanted when we got an iPhone. That's not what we wanted to walk into when we got home. And nobody wants bad posture, but that touchscreen is gonna cost you. Now we gotta pay it up, but I'm not down. Some lyrics here, right apart here, cause I don't have one. So I left it empty, yeah. I hope I can write a good part of the song right here for verse 2, so it goes viral. That's not what we wanted when we got an iPhone. That's not what we wanted to walk into when we got home. And nobody wants bad posture, but that touchscreen is gonna cost you. Now we gotta pay it up, but I'm not down.
There's a space coming up here, and in the space I'm gonna put like a bunch of iPhone notifications and like alarms and like iPhone sounds. Right here. Bloop, bing, boop, bow.
That's not what we wanted when we got an iPhone. That's not what we wanted to walk into when we got home. And nobody wants bad posture.
And this lead at the end.
It's gonna cost you. Now we gotta pay.
Here we go. Time to groove. Time to groove.
I'm not down.
Come on. So yeah, those are pretty rough. Those are just like 1-day cooks pretty much. So, you know, they need some work and they need some love and some vibes. But anyways, I'm just sharing the demos I make because I do Music Mondays, which is tomorrow. And I just make music all day and then I share it each week on here. So that's what it is. Okay. That's my whole update, I think. So let me see if there was anything in here I want to mention before I go. Bitcoin crashed because of the new tariffs, but that's good because that means it's on sale. So just keep buying it. Buying it, holding it. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to my weekly updates, you can click the link in the description. I do this each week, and it's free. So you just put in your email, click the link, put in your email, and you'll get them in your inbox each week for free 99. And it's kind of how I keep people updated with my life since I'm not on social media, and then I do these videos to go along with it every week. And also check out the rest of my YouTube channel. I got travel vlogs on there. I got other kind of random videos about being a nomad or whatever's on my mind. So check that out. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, say what's up. You know what it is. And we're going to see you next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.